Hello there, everybody. Long time no see. Oops, and I get sorted out. Yon Tov, and for everyone that I haven't already said it to, Happy New Year to everybody out there. I hope everybody's doing fine. I hope everybody's well. I hope you all had a fantastic Christmas, Diwali, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, whatever it is that you had, whatever it was that you celebrated, birthdays, whatever. Like me, I'm now 59. So, you know, another year older, not necessarily any wiser. And that's for sure. No change there. Well, as you can see, I'm still sort of like not quite done in the kitchen yet. For those who don't know, I started decorating my kitchen last week. And as you can see behind me, although you probably think, well, where is she decorated? I honestly have. I just did a different shade of purple. It's near to the original purple that we had, except that purple was matte. And this one's, it's silk paint. So it's more shiny and easier to wipe clean. So that's that there. But if I tip the camera up slightly, then you'll be able to see that the ceiling's been done but not quite finished at the top. So that still needs to be done yet. So that's that. Anyway, I wanted to apologise for such a long hiatus. But you know what it's like, Christmas, New Year, what have you, and Hanukkah as well. And then just want to sit and just have a rest and family time. You know, it's like that with everybody over these times. You sort of more or less drop everything and you just want to be with your family. And that's really what I've done. And like I said, hubby was on a 2-week break from work, and it was in the second week of his holidays that we decided we were going to start tackling the kitchen, which is difficult for me because I'm in a wheelchair, so I can use a roller, like a small roller, up close and personal. For a short while, I can do a roller at the end of a pole, being careful not to crick my neck. But, you know, touch wood on my kitchen table, fingers crossed and what have you. It's all going well, but it's slow. Back in the days when I could leap up and down ladders and do these things, I would have had the work done inside about 3 or 4 days, but we knew it was going to take 2 to 3 weeks because he's at work full time. And he doesn't really like doing work when he comes in from work. He just wants to sit down and relax. So we just do odds and sods at weekend as and when we can. So that's why I've been away, but don't worry, normal programming will be resuming this week. I'll be back with your Wednesday folk tales, and I'll be back with your spooky sessions on Friday. So don't worry about that. I just wanted to catch up and I don't know whether it's just a bit of a rant or whether I want to put my slant on things or what. I just don't know. I wanted to start off by giving you a laugh and telling you that he who shall not be named has decided to put out writing tips. Yeah, you heard it. Writing tips. This coming from the man who, you know, I would imagine the knowledge he has about writing tips wouldn't fill a Q-tip. But that's just my personal opinion. He was saying things like you shouldn't start a sentence with but, or, you know, and you should use a comma. And I thought, hang on a minute. I've been following this guy now for, what, over a year? Well, or is it that? Anywho, it must be for coming up for about a year. And I've read his wonderful autobiography called Cancelled, which also really gets me because I didn't realise that some places spell cancelled with just the one L. But because in Britain we spell it with two L's, it's just a little bit grating, that's all. But anywho, you know, each to their own. But having read his book and gone over it, he starts lots of sentences with but and I am not going to take writing tips from someone who was too lazy to hire an editor. You know, with all the friends and everything he's got, you're bound to think he's got an editor in there somewhere. Wouldn't you? Or someone just to, you know, speed read his book and point out any errors. Or like, take this back and start all over again. But no. So, anyway, that's your laugh for today. He who shall not be named is handing out writing tips and saying thank you for coming to my TED Talk. He seems to think he's accomplishing something here. But I'm not going to hold my breath. But if I get any more laughs coming from him, which I do hope we're going to get more laughs out of him in 2020 than we will get anything problematic, is there to be seen. I want to show you my new jumper. I know you probably think it's a bit wild, but it's actually a black cat sitting on my jumper. And there's little paw prints going on everywhere. Not so much the front, but over the back. I can't show you, but I want to show you. It's my lucky black cat jumper. And believe you me, it's nice and warm. Because you can't believe it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon here and I have to have the lights on because it's so flipping miserable outside. You know, the sky is grey and it's heavy, and we have Storm Bernard, is it called? I think, coming island way, and 80-mile-an-hour gust winds, and oh, it's all fun, sunbathing weather. I just wanted to let, I think the one thing that I did want to talk about was, you know, this thing with Harry and Meghan at the moment. And speaking as a Brit, and speaking as a Brit who isn't racist, hasn't got a racist bone in her, never has had, you know, that, you know, as open-minded and as broad-minded as the next one, I've got to tell you, the idea that all British people are inherently racist, I'm sorry, that's wrong. That is wrong. I am not saying there isn't racism, and that should be stamped out. Absolutely should be stamped out. You know, we're in the 21st century now, and at the end of the day, we all bleed the same colour. Now, I know a lot of people will say, well, that's rich coming from you. Look at you, you're white. Very true, you know. But the amount of, it's not necessarily racism, but the anti-Semitism that I'm dealt with, not every day, but most days, is comparable, I would think, to anybody who suffers from racism. And I know it's not on the same scale. Before anybody shouts that out, I realise I'm still incredibly lucky. And I do know that. But I want my American audience, Canadian audience, anybody around the world to know that when the two of them got married, we were all for it. We thought, great, a breath of fresh air in the royal family. It shows how much it's changing, it's adapting. Here we've got someone of mixed race who's a beautiful woman coming into the royal family, and it's going to be fantastic, you know. But there are certain things that you must know that have played into all of this, and it is important that you know it. When Harry and Meghan first got together, Well, before that, and I have, since she first came on the scene, I mean, I watched Suits, right? Thought it was a great show. I didn't think she was the best actress in the world I've ever seen, but then again, I've seen a lot worse. But there was nothing wrong with her, right? She's a beautiful young woman, fine, no problems. But, you know, she made it clear that she had goals, and she idolised Princess Diana when she was a kid. Absolutely idolised her. And when she said that she didn't know who Prince Harry was, come on. Everybody knows who Prince Harry is, right? I don't care what anybody says. Everybody knows who Prince Harry is. He was the only bachelor, you know, available in the royal family, and he was unattached. His longest relationship had been with a girl called Chelsea Davy, which we knew about here in the UK. She was from, I believe she was South African. But Chelsea made it very, very clear that she didn't want to be part of the Royal Goldfish Bowl. And that's why it ended. I mean, they did love each other. They were like joined at the hip for 5 years. And then sadly it ended, but that was that. Chelsea did not want to marry him. She didn't want into the royal family. So along comes Meghan, and Harry puts out this thing about he doesn't want the press intruding into their private lives and what have you. Right, that's fair enough. He's entitled to his private life. But you've got to keep in mind at the same time he's a public figure. And, you know, when the British people are, through their taxes, are helping to upkeep the royal family, then, you know, it's like, it's not much to ask if you're going to go out and open a shopping centre or open a health centre, and all you've got to do is all the boring stuff like cut a ribbon or, you know, declare this place open, do some hospital visits, you know, the sort of thing that all the other royals have been doing for decades. And Harry never made it, never ever hid it, the fact that he hated being a member of the royal family and that he wanted to have a private life, and he just wanted out. He made that very clear when he was in the army, and he was absolutely furious when he had to leave the army when it was leaked where he was. But Meghan wanted a prince, and I think she set a cap at him. And what startled me was she gave an interview. I can't remember to which magazine it was, but she gave an interview to a magazine which I read, and she was actually quite public in that interview about her relationship with Harry. And she was going about them, excuse me, being in love, and, oh, you never know what the next step might be. And when she was asked, do you think they would get engaged, get married, it was sort of like, well, who knows? You never know what's going to happen. And I thought, and I'll be honest with you, I thought to myself, he's got two choices now. She's come out like this. Now, normally in the past, when any girlfriend of a royal has come out and said something, they've either been picked up or dropped, because they're not supposed to talk about their relationships. But I thought, Harry's got two choices here. He can either get rid of her, or he's now committed to asking her to marry him. And that's what happened. Within weeks, there was an announcement out that they were now engaged. And, you know, I thought, this is really quick. This really is quick. And do the both of them know what they're getting into? Now, Meghan is very much used to the celebrity lifestyle. Harry was used to a certain lifestyle, but as a royal, and he's been particularly well protected. Now, I know he's had a lot to deal with. He lost his mother when he was 12. he didn't mentally deal with it until he started to get into his 30s. And yes, I do think that he's got mental health issues that he has to deal with. But I'm looking at patterns of behaviour here. And it's just my personal opinion, and keep in mind that a lot of this is all my own personal opinion as a British woman. But I think they went into marriage too quickly. I was dismayed at how she dropped her family. I would have thought, I don't think the family did themselves any favours. I think there's been blame on both sides. But, our father's never seen little Archie. Our sister and our brother have never seen little Archie. I don't know if there's any plans for them to ever see that little boy. When Archie was born, I thought, he'll have a title. But he didn't get a title. It was Harry. No, he's not having one. And then the weird thing was for the British people was when Archie was christened, we weren't allowed to know who the godparents were. Now, as far as royals go, the British people have come to expect, and this has been going on since Queen Victoria's time, that the British people knew who the godparents were of every child that was christened. And, we all know who the godparents of George and Charlotte and Louis are, but we're not allowed to know who Archie's godparents are. And I thought, that's weird. And then the issue came up about their house. Now, they couldn't live beside Kate and William because the apartment they were going to move into in Kensington Palace was found to have asbestos. It was going to cost twice as much to have that home refurbished for them. So the Queen offered them Frogmore Cottage, which was already in the process of being refurbished. But it cost the British taxpayer £2.4 million to refurbish that home, with the Sussexes making clear that they paid for fixtures and fittings, but the overall refurbishment of that house, my hubby paid it and millions of other Brits paid for it. Now all of a sudden we're told what we can and what we can't have from them. And I don't think it's much to sort of find out who the godparents are. I think it's just weird. But as I said, I don't understand it. And it just puzzles me. And they are a pair who, in my opinion, seem to want their cake and eat it too. Also, as a human being, I think not coming back to spend Christmas with his grandfather. Prince Philip had been in hospital because he'd had a very bad fall and he'd been ill, so that's why he was in hospital for 4 days. And he managed to get out for Christmas. He's now at Sandringham and he's in his own apartments up in Sandringham. But the guy is coming up for 99 years old. Harry is supposed to worship his grandfather and vice versa. And, not to come home to be with the people who adore him, the Queen particularly adores him, and stay away like that, I thought was a bit much. Because you never know, Prince Philip just might be counting time. And if that was me and if that was you, wouldn't you be thinking, I wish I'd spent Christmas with them? The Queen is 94 this year. We don't know how much longer she's going to be here for. And I would, if it was me in his position, and if anything happened to either one of them, I would be kicking myself for not spending Christmas with them. Because that would stay with me for the rest of my life. to be honest with you, I don't think Harry knows what he wants. There's a general feeling in Britain at the moment that he's let a lot of people down. The military side of things, the particular officers that he's patron of, they do feel they've been let down. Charities feel as if they've been let down. The British public feel they've been let down. Mind you, there's a big split between us, and it's generational. The older generation, sort of like my generation, are all, this isn't fair, whereas the younger generation are good for them and go on, let them live their lives and, tell the royals where they can stuff it. That's a bit harsh. I do think, and Meghan is now saying, I can't do this anymore. I can't do the British stiff upper lip. I just don't want to do it anymore. It's not for me. But she's got this title now, which, the Queen isn't going to take away from her. She's not going to take it away from Harry. They learned that lesson after stripping Diana. They're not going to reap that whirlwind again. So they're going to be able to keep their titles, I can guarantee you that. And the money that they get is from the Prince of Wales and his personal fortune. So when they say they're going to make their own living, are they going to say to Prince Charles, no, we're not going to take your money? And do they also know that, if they keep a foot in both camps, not only are they going to have to pay taxes in either America or Canada, but they're also going to have to keep paying taxes here. I think there's an awful lot come out that has not been worked out properly. And it has come out that the Queen did ask him, Harry that is, not to do anything rash and to think about it and wait and make an announcement when everything had been thrashed out. But she didn't know about the announcement until 10 minutes before it happened. And I personally find that very disrespectful. She's not just his grandmother, she's his queen. And he should have been more respectful, and so should Meghan. That's her grandmother-in-law. And I do feel, there are claims of sexism and racism within the royal family. I don't know, I'm not part of the royal family. But there's racism and sexism everywhere. Everywhere. And from what I can see, the royals did go out of their way to make her feel welcome. The Queen broke protocol by including Meghan in the Christmas, church celebration when she was still engaged to Harry by inviting him to church and to Sandringham. That had never been known. It had never been known for an engaged couple to have that. They had to wait until they were married. So that shows you how much the Queen bent rules for Harry. And for Meghan as well. She was doing everything she could to make them happy. And now to get this, that they don't want to be working royals anymore. But, they'll come back and they'll do bits and pieces, but don't expect anything more from them than that. I think that's a hell of a blow to Her Majesty. They were down to do certain appearances and take part in their charity work and do things to support the Queen this coming year and for the foreseeable future. Who's going to take on that burden of all those extra events that the royals do and the appointments that they have? Who's going to take on the burden of that now? They were down to do about 200 appointments this year between the two of them. Whose shoulders is that going to land on now? you know, they really haven't thought this through. And like I said, I'm not a royal. I don't live with them. As my husband said, he just pays towards them. And my husband isn't a royalist. I think I'm more of a royalist than he is. But when they got married, it was, hey, good luck to them. And he didn't watch the wedding. I did, because weddings bore him. I think the only wedding he's ever been to that really didn't bore him was ours. Possibly he wasn't that particularly bored when he married his first time round. But he did admit to being particularly drunk that day. But that's another story entirely. But my husband isn't entertained by weddings. But I sat and I watched it and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I thought it was great. And there's been all these stories about Meghan not getting the right tiara and all this. You know what? A lot of it is all rubbish. A lot of what is said in the press is all rubbish. If you want to find out what's happening, then ask a British person how they feel. Don't read a newspaper. Come to a British person and ask them what they think is going on. I wouldn't get it from a newspaper. You know, you've got to see what the newspapers say and then take a lot of it with a pinch of salt. But you've got to read things like behaviour and attitude, and then you've got to read between the lines on what's being said and predominantly what's not being said. That's what you should do, and then come to your own conclusions. And that's what I've done. I thought it very strange that, you know, the first appointment they make when they come back is a quick visit to a Grenfell women's kitchen from that awful fire at the Grenfell Tower. Then they go straight to Canada House and they have visits there. What also bothered me was that Justin Trudeau knew about their plans before the Queen did. There's a lot to this story that I don't think we'll ever find out. And there's also a lot that we will find out in the days and weeks to come. But just speaking to you, as I do, without a script, from the heart, I just think that he's treated his grandparents shoddily. I think that all of this should have been done behind palace doors. I don't think any announcement should have been made until it was all thrashed out, particularly where they were going to live, how they were going to finance themselves, what they were prepared to do and what they weren't prepared to do, what the Queen was going to expect of them. You know, like, when is she going to see her great-grandson? I know she's got other great-grandchildren, but she'll want to see her other great-grandson too. When is she going to be allowed access to him? Things like that. And then an announcement could have been made, and it would have been done for like the following lines of, it has been announced from Buckingham Palace that. Because that's the way things are normally done. That's the way it should be done. But they blurted this out because they knew a newspaper had links to the story and were going to announce it before they got the chance to. So, bam, they did it. And it was a case of, in 10 minutes, this is going up. But if you ask me, all this has been plotted for months. This isn't just a spur-of-the-moment thing. This has been going on for months. I don't think Meghan has really taken into account what it is to be a member of the British royal family. And she's probably found it too stifling. If I was asked, do I think the marriage is going to last? If you want an immediate heart reaction, I'm going to say no. I don't think the marriage is going to last. And I think Harry is going to be absolutely brokenhearted. And I wish people would stop going on about this is what Diana would have wanted. We don't know what Diana would have wanted. She's dead. Now, unless her spirit's going to come back from the grave and appear on TV and say, I'm totally all for this, great. But stop saying this is exactly what Diana would have wanted, because we don't know. The woman's dead. We can't quote her. Right? So unless anybody's done a Ouija session and brought her through and asked her, then we should just stop saying it, because we don't know what she would have said. And I'm not going to say that I know what she would have said. What I do know is that she brought up both boys to honour the traditions for which they'd been born into, and to honour the monarchy. That much I do know, because she said so on more than one occasion. So if Harry's determined to quit, then he should go. Good luck to him. But don't expect us Brits to pay for your lifestyle, because that's not fair. If you're not prepared to come back and do your charity work and support the Queen properly and what have you, then no, I don't see why we should pay for your lifestyle. I really don't. I just think the whole thing's a mess. But anyway, that's my rant for today. I realise I've gone on for half an hour, which is far too long, coming from an old windbag like me. So anyway, sorry about the mess of the hair, but you know, it's like one of those days. You know, last week when I was busy painting and what have you, and I did my hair and it was great, and I wasn't seeing anybody, I wasn't on the camera, and I looked fine. Today I go on camera and I look like just a haggy mess. But what can I tell you? Anyway, I'll see you guys on Wednesday. I'll find some stories to read for you. And then I'll sort something out for Friday. So I look forward to seeing you later on in the week. And please don't forget that we have your Facebook group, which is now running. 30 of you are in there. And the whole thing is running really well. It's private. It's closed. It's, you know, nobody can hurt you in there. There's only Haveners in there, and Haveners running it. Okay? So please don't forget about the Facebook group. Please go and join it. You will have fun, and it's safe. Right? Nobody's going to get you in there. Right? There are other Haveners down in the comments. I would ask you, please tell the other Haveners what a great place our Facebook group is. Okay? Thank you. Take care, guys. I love you. And sorry for the rant, and thank you for putting up with me. Take care. Love you. Bye.